Okay. So yes, we are in the thick of the second wave in India, and I believe all of you have some reports about how India is doing. I just thought I would share about what we clinicians as in India are getting to know from the newspapers and from the other magazines that are publishing about cases and about countrywide expanse of and the burden of patients here. So we had our first wave in September and October of the last year, and that at that time. So I am from Pune, which is in the western part of India, and if you see, it's the purple line here. And at that time, we were clocking around at the peak of that wave, we were clocking around 5,000 cases daily. We have now reached to around 12,000 cases daily, and it is kind of a nightmare. Can I have a next slide, please? Just to kind of shed light on how exponentially the numbers have risen. In March 2022, 22nd March this year, we were clocking 50,000 cases roughly every day, and we have risen to nearly 4 lakh cases in a month's time. And I think there are three main reasons of why we have faced this. Next slide. And this is just geographical expanse of the country. And I come from the red state, which is kind of very stark here. We've been, at the headlines last year, and we are leading the country in the number of cases even this year. So I come from that state, which, and there are some more contributors this time. So we have a few more states, that is Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, a couple of southern states that have contributed majorly this time to the number of cases. Next slide. Yes, and this is one of the major reasons. So I think we became very lax during the November, December, when our waves when the number of cases had settled down, and we have completely disregarded COVID-19 norms. We had major gatherings, religious and political gatherings, early February and March. And the religious gathering, which is the Kumbh Mela, which is held once every 4 years, this had to be actually cut short or had actually aborted once they started clocking 1,000 cases per day. So I think we lost a lot of time at that time, and the political rallies, they just went on. So these were the major super spreader events. And along with that, there have been people who have been moving around, going for holidays. And so all in all, we kind of thought that the COVID was well done and dusted and would never come back. So we are facing the flak now. Next slide, please. This is just an analysis of how many hospital beds we have in India. So we are a 1.4 billion population. Most of our healthcare is provided by the private sector. So patients have to pay for their healthcare, and it is most of the times it is pay as you go. Insurance companies have not found an inroad into healthcare sector as much as they would have expected. And the public sector or the government setup, healthcare setups provide only 20 to 30% right now. Next slide, please. So right at the moment, we have around 1.9 million hospital beds and 95,000 ICU beds. Considering the number of cases we are seeing today, our need for ICU beds is around 3 times more. So we should be having at least 3 lakh ICU beds and almost 10 times more of the hospital beds that we have right now. We need at least double the ventilators than what is projected to be present in India. So we have around 48,000 that is been estimated, but I think we'll be needing at least 1 lakh of ventilators before we can, give equitable healthcare to all people who suffer or all people who have severe COVID disease. So, and this is all, if you see the graph, this is all concentrated in 7 to 8 states of India. So the rest of the country has extremely poor healthcare infrastructure, leave alone private or government sector. So this is where all the problem arises. And the third prong to this whole problem is the oxygen supply and the demand ratio. Can I have the next slide, please? So we have a production capacity of 7,000 million tons, 7,000 metric tons daily, and our demand right now during the peak is around 6,600 metric tons. The problem is the oxygen is produced in the south and the northeast states of India. Considering the expanse of the country and the distance that this oxygen has to travel, it becomes extremely difficult to provide oxygen on a sustained basis to states in the north and to states in the west. So that is why we have been facing these shortages. Plus, we don't have enough liquid oxygen carriers. So if I talk about my hospital, we have a liquid oxygen plant, and it used to be refilled once every month before the COVID surge started. Now we need to replenish it once every day. So finding that kind of a consistent supply to replenish depleting stores because of the vastness of the country, because of lack of infrastructure, and because even of lack of carriage, storage and carriage vehicles, we are suffering. So this is where we are. So this is one of the biggest problems. So the real bottleneck is in the transport infrastructure and the storage infrastructure. Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, which are the northern states, Jammu and Kashmir, which are the northern states, most of the hospitals, they don't even have their own liquid oxygen plants. So they are relying on oxygen supply through storage tanks. And that is where, if the supply is not fulfilled within a stipulated time, that is where we are seeing all the tragedy. Next slide, please. So, like I said, these are the 12 states which require, there is just a projection of how much of oxygen we are going to need by the end of April. And we are looking at around 6,590 metric tons. And these are the 12 states where we think that the numbers are going to explode and we will need a lot more oxygen than what we are actually using right now. Again, transporting oxygen from sites of manufacture becomes a big issue. If I talk about Delhi, from where most tragic tales have emerged, right now it has been allocated 490 metric tons, but they need at least 700 metric tons of oxygen to meet their current needs. So this is the problem. Next slide, please. And whatever little hope we had with vaccination. So if you look at the absolute numbers, we are vaccinating close to what the US is doing. So we are coming to around 3 million vaccinations daily. But if we have to break or bend this curve any further, then we will have to vaccinate 6 to 7 million people on a daily basis. When I last checked on April 16th, we had 30 million doses, and those were likely to be used up by the end of April. So, inconsistent supply, again, their production lines have dried up because of a lot of various reasons, and inconsistent supply of vaccines to the population. That has become another big issue. So even if the absolute numbers look good, next slide, please. If you see the number of people that we are vaccinating per 100 population, it is only 0.19. So this is where we are. And out of this, only 11 million people have got both their doses. The rest of the 115 million that we have vaccinated so far have only got one dose. So combined, when we put all of this together, there are huge infrastructural issues, there are huge equipment issues, and then there is a huge oxygen transport and storage issue. So I think we are going to have it really tough this time. Next slide, please. That's it. I think I'm at the end of my slide. So thank you very much for giving me this time. And thank you, John, for letting me on this program today.